Hey,
We're good. We're good. Live on Facebook. Nykea, Nykea, I do have to say you have, and this might be biased, but you do have the best Facebook profile picture out of everybody. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Just throwing that out there.
Courtesy of Real Producers, January 2021 edition.
It's beautiful.
Like who's that?
Absolutely.
Well, hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. This is an extremely anticipated discussion honoring Black history in real estate, and specifically Chicago real estate. So thank you, everybody. Everybody on here is busy. They're volunteering for this. They're not getting paid for this. They are sacrificing just time to engage with us and with each other. And just when it's been difficult to connect with people, I'm just grateful that I get to share the screen. So I'm going to do very little talking and get out of the way, because let's be frank, I'm not going to add a whole lot of value to this to this conversation. So that being said, actually, I do want to do something really fast. I'm gonna do the screen share. I have this queued up. People have been asking, hey, do you guys have like a digital version of the publication? There we go. So we came out with last year an app. I know. That may not have been planned. So people are like, hey, can you send me a digital copy? Our app is called Digipub. You can actually, a lot of people don't know this, but we're in like 100 cities. You can download Chicago, DuPage, North Shore, all over the country. So it's called Digipub. Find it on App Store. Currently, it is free. Eventually they might start charging for it. But what I do know for a fact is, if you have it on your phone and they do start like charging monthly for it, you'll be grandfathered in, so you won't have to pay. So I encourage people, just get an account, set up your email address. Even if you don't even look at it, at least get it on your phone. So there's my little plug, but that's it. So no, I'm gonna have these are very organic discussions, and so I'm gonna have the realtors very briefly introduce themselves, then I'll have the partners introduce themselves, and then we're gonna start jamming together. So Nykea, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Good morning. Thank you, Andy, for having us. I am Nykea Pippion McGriff. I'm Vice President of Brokerage Services for Coldwell Banker Realty. I am your 2021 president for the Chicago Association of Realtors, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
I think I am next. Good morning, everybody. My name is Sheena Baker. I'm a real estate agent with Caremark Realty Group, based out of Aurora, and I'm happy to be here as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tony Hardy. I'm the executive director work out of the Keller Williams One Chicago office for Keller Williams KW Commercial, specifically focusing on multifamily investments. I'm also the chairman of the Chicago Association of Realtors Commercial Forum and the president of the Southside Community Investors Association.
I'll go last out of respect of everybody else.
Go, Lou or Zeke, go ahead.
Zeke, you want to go?
I think you're muted. You're muted, Zeke.
All right, I'll jump in while he's on mute. Lutalo McGee, owner, managing broker of Ani Real Estate. I'm also the chair of the Discriminatory Appraisal Task Force for the Illinois Realtors and sit on the Education Foundation for Chicago Association of Realtors. Good morning, everybody.
I'm Zeke Morris. I am the owner-operator of Exit Strategy Realty EMA Management on the south side of the city of Chicago. I am also currently the president-elect for Illinois Association of Realtors. Looking forward to being first Black president in 2022. Thank you. Great to be here.
Honored to have you, sir. So I'm gonna allow the partners to introduce themselves, but I will tell you right now, like, people love the publication. We pride ourselves on making it a purely non-pay to play model for realtors to honor them and their success, hence the name Real Producers. And so, but I will tell you right now, I can't do what I do. I'm essentially unemployed without our partners. And so they're the ones who make it all happen. Obviously, you know, the events happen, all the digital stuff, everything that we do, a lot of the funding that we had from our events from 2020 were on pause, so we launched the app early. So I mean, if agents like what we do and what I do, I don't need any more recognition for it. Thank the partners; they're the ones where the support comes from. So with that, I'm going to shut up, and Antonia, go ahead.
Hi, I am Antonia Mills Westlink, and I am a real estate attorney here in Chicago. I am also a realtor with Coldwell Banker, Gold Coast, Nykea. Thank you so much. And I am also the president-elect for the Women's Council of Realtors, Chicago.
I did not know that. Kirk, jump in, sir.
Okay, I'll go ahead. My name is Kirk Gregory Jr. with Country Financial. I'm an insurance agent, and I'm new. 3 years ago, I was just a broke college student, and I'm just thankful for everyone on this Zoom today that helped pave the way and make it a little bit easier for the next generation.
We've all been there, sir. I remember those days. A little bit longer ago for me. Christopher, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christopher Hubbard. I am the principal and design director for Hubbard Design Group here in Chicago. I don't have any designations like the distinguished gentlemen and women here, but I need to get one for sure. But I'm very happy to be here.
That's great. Well, and that's it. So this is the point really where I get out of the way, and well, let's start jamming. So I think, Tony, you had a good topic to kick us off with when we were pre-gaming a few minutes before we went live. So why don't you go ahead, my friend?
Yeah, with it Black History Month and just being in a room in the presence of everybody here, we are charting our own course, right? We got Nykea Pippion McGriff here, first African-American woman president of the Chicago Association of Realtors. I had the pleasure of serving at the pleasure of the president. We also have our first African-American woman CEO of the Chicago Association of Realtors. And Zeke Morris, the president-elect of the Illinois Realtors, the first African-American president-elect of the Chicago Association of Realtors, soon to be president. So we are charting our own course, and let's keep up that momentum. With that said, my space is multifamily investments. I work with a lot of commercial real estate, and there are some African-Americans that's knocking it out of the park, right? Quentin Primo, Elsie Higginbottom. However, I would like to see more African-American participation in the investment space. And the first step to that is education, right? Let's learn exit strategies. Let's learn investments, internal rate of return, EBITDA, and those kind of things so that we can get in. We find our way in, let's figure out how to find our way out and figure out how to grow. And I think that if our goal is to get in and we never had a plan, we don't get that growth. And we have to sometimes let go of the smaller property to graduate to the larger properties.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, from go ahead, Nykea.
Mr. President-elect, absolutely not.
No,
I defer to
absolutely.
you, sir.
I yield to you, madam.
You the first, sir. I'm not getting in trouble with Illinois Realtors. Please continue.
Let me pause. I don't do this. Let me pause. How cool would a world be if, like, you're holding the door open for someone and they're like, no, after you. Oh no, after you. Oh no, after you. And then like 30 minutes pass. Like how cool would that world be? Where we just honor. That's awesome. Sorry.
Going straight through the door.
Yeah.
Welcome to Chicago.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So, well, since you are allowing me, ma'am, I just want to touch bases in terms of where Tony's coming from. I think what he really is talking about is generational wealth and how do we build that within our communities. When you think about where we've come from, most of us have not been, we didn't grow up with a silver spoon. We had to work very diligently. And if you look at the folks that are on this Zoom today, I would say that that we are all the exception, not the rule. And what we want to do is just create an environment where moving forward that we can have the educational strategies. We can have the collaboration between each other and be able to show how to grow within our one, within the industry, and two, how to build generational wealth for our, for our children's children. And that's really the one thing I wanted to say. And I'm gonna let you, Nykea, take the next step.
Well, I am so excited to celebrate the first, right? But you guys know I'm passionate about what about second, third, fourth, fifth? At what point can we stop counting? When I look at Sheena and I look at Lutalo, all of you guys are really killing it in your fields. Kirk, I don't know you personally, but I see you on social media. I see all your successes. So how are we spreading the wealth, if you will? How are we bringing others up along with us? So I would love to talk about that, because the buzzwords are what? Diversity and inclusion, right? Everybody's talking about diversity and inclusion. Those are the two buzzwords. But we're forgetting about the equity piece, right? Zeke and I have been afforded many volunteer opportunities, but that opportunity is not as valuable to some minorities in our marketplaces because the equity piece is missing. You have to be making money in real estate to be able to spend the hours of volunteer time that we are doing. And like Sheena's past president of Women's Council West Suburban, I want to hear about what are our plans. Everybody here is in important seats, right? What's your plan? What's next? Who are you bringing with you?
So for me, as past president, when I was president, I think you attract those that look like you. So Nykea, you're going to attract those that want to sit in your seat now. So a lot of realtors that were African-American would come to me. And in the suburbs, let's be frank, you don't see a lot of us out here killing it. And so that is what would draw people to our events, and just to ask me, like, how did you get into leadership, and like, what do I need to do? And we have to be that generation to share. So this is how I got in, because I was asked by other leaders before me to be involved. And although I was kicking and screaming, no, I don't have time, I'm busy, I'm a producing agent. But you have to take the ask and then share how you got in and bring them along with you. So I think a lot of us in general need to share more, share our experiences, share how we get to the level that we're at. I'm always on panels when it wasn't COVID in person, or, I have no problem sharing my experiences, how to make more money in this business. We have to share that so that we are not the only ones sitting at the table.
Yes.
One of the things that I most respect about you, Nykea, Zeke, Michelle, and even you, Tony, is just the visible way that you all represent yourself and go into the public. I think sometimes we have to just show people the possibilities in this business so that they believe that they can actually attain those goals. When I got into business, I remember, I was shown the residential side, and that's what I envisioned, the residential side. But I wasn't showing anybody on the commercial side. So I never even thought at the beginning of my career to even pursue the commercial angle. In fact, it wasn't until one of my brokers that I actually brought in on the residential side, then graduated to the commercial side, Moses Hall, that I started paying attention to the fact that I possibly could do that as well. So I started going to different forums where there were, commercial activity was going on, and I saw Tony. And Tony, was representing, what's the name of the organization? Southside Investment Association, Tony, is that what it is?
Yes, SSCIA.
Yeah, I showed up to a couple events there, and I was like, man, this brother is doing it. And if he can do it, we can do it, right? I can do it. So I definitely think us showing up in spaces, talking, telling people about our journeys, our mistakes, our successes opens the doors for other people. So.
Absolutely.
I met most of you all through the Dearborn Realtors. I met Tony and Nykea and Lutalo there, and Tony Hardy from there, was one of my biggest advocates. Nykea is the whole reason I am involved in Women's Council. And I think it's, those opportunities that have been presented and those opportunities to be able to be involved. Tony got me connected with Project REAP, which was a 10-week commercial real estate program specifically focused on increasing the minority presence in commercial real estate. I had no idea that even existed, but for a conversation I'd had with Tony Hardy. Women's Council of Realtors has really propelled my career, has helped me find a voice, has helped me want to get more involved beyond just, being an attorney, but wanting to have an impact on in the realtor community. I got my realtor's broker's license because of Women's Council and the opportunity to serve there. And I think that it's because of that, the openness that I received from, specifically the Black community in real estate, that I have had the opportunities that I've had. And in return, I just want to be someone who is open, and anyone who approaches me, a new realtor who approaches me that, doesn't understand the industry or wants to, have help or assistance navigating through the transaction, I'm here open and available because those opportunities were afforded to me as well. And I think that's also how we're able to propel a Black voice in real estate, just being open and paying it forward and acknowledging what others have done for me personally as well. I mean, Zeke Morris has got me involved in being a vice chair of the public policy committee with Illinois Realtors. I didn't know that I could do that, but for Zeke giving me that opportunity, I am really excited. So thank you so much, all of you.
Well, thank you. I would step in and just say thank you to all of my next generation of folks who are coming on. And one, I thank you for having the courage to be involved, and two, understand the importance of volunteerism, and how do we, as Nykea says so appropriately, how do we continue to bring forth the folks within our communities that look like us, to show them that opportunities are there. And one of the things that Frank Williams has always said to me is that we have to be and show folks what we want or see our future to look like. And so you folks are really doing that. And so I'm proud of all of you.
Thank you, Zeke. I'm just grateful to be in the room with you all, because like I said earlier, you all paved the way to making it the next generation a little bit easier. What I've learned in the short amount of time I've been in the real estate industry is that because of social media, and that people are now watching, so now I have to hold myself to a higher standard. And sometimes it's a lot, I'm just 27 years old. I can't do certain things that other 27-year-olds can do, because people are watching me now. So what I'm thinking about doing, actually going to start doing, is going into the community, going to the schools. I've actually had read to a couple schools before COVID, and they had brought me in. I was talking to some of the kids, and they were asking questions. I think I need to start doing more of that, because once I walk into a room with a suit, they're like, wait, you're 27 years old. Like, what do you do? And I wear a suit every day. That speaks value to them. And it's just amazing. It's just like, man, is it really happening this fast? So I have to bear down and start reaching out to more people like you all and ask you questions, because the power that we have when they're seeing us on social media and whatnot is serious. And my plan is just to, reach back out and just, be as the best representative and an example to my people as possible. That's my plan.
Absolutely. The power of social media. Sheena, we got to bow down to her as queen of Instagram in the real estate world. The rest of us just try to keep up.
I told someone wanted to call with me to talk about social media. I'm like, you sure you want to start it? Because once you start, it's like you have to keep up with it. And it is, I get a lot of business from it. I get a lot of questions, and mostly from the Black community. My DMs are always like, oh, can you tell me about this? Or, realtors, home buyers. And so I think education is key, but how do we educate more? And how do you reach more? And I don't struggle with that, because I don't mind sharing, but I think we always speak about education, but what's the how? Like, how do we do that? I don't know what you guys think. Like, how do we even reach back out even more? Like, doing this is great if they're tuning in, but how do you think that we could do a better job of educating?
I think it's leveraging resources like Tony and Antonia brought up, Project REAP USA. Got a shout out. I graduated 2014 from that class. Such an amazing opportunity for those who are interested in getting into the commercial space, or at least want those connections. It's really leveraging your relationships with Dearborn, with Chicago Association of Realtors, the new 77, leveraging relationships with your strategic partners, Women's Council, ARIA, lots of opportunities out there, but we've got to continue to get the message out. And I see Tony is hyped. Go ahead, Tony, passing the mic.
I think that you touched on a lot of key points, and I'm going to call Chris out next because he's been kind of quiet. So, but the Zeke mentioned it, legacy, right? Generational wealth. You mentioned, what are we doing, right? Because we have to start in our space. What can I do in my space to impact equity and inclusion in my field or my sphere? One of the things I did when I took over as executive director over at KW Commercial is I hired 6 new guys to the business, right? 5 of them were African American. And the higher ups, the regional directors, and some of those guys are like, you're crazy. How are you going to teach 7 new guys the commercial business when you got all these experienced agents knocking on your door? I said, experienced agents, they come with a lot of bad habits, right? And we'll get to them. And now we're 6 months in, and these guys got significant traction. They're doing things. I think we're doing a deal with Lutalo now. And what happened is I had a window of an opportunity where it could be a classroom, right? And I told them, African Americans can sell commercial real estate, right? When I tried to do it, when I got in this business 20 years ago, the doors were shut. CBRE, I knocked on their door. We don't need no help. I'm like, ain't it free? Like, I just bring my license and go for it. College, we don't need any help. So I was looking at a $2,500 check that I just cashed on a closing of a small condo that I sold, but I was living next door to a 25-story building that somebody just sold to St. Edmunds, the St. Edmunds Tower on 63rd in Michigan. And I was like, I want to be your realtor, right, one day. And I wrote a letter to the owner and said, I want to be your realtor one day. And I worked my butt off. Who knew 18 years later, I actually sold that building, right? But for that owner. But the thing is, we can get in, we can do this. We got to make an impact. It's mentorship and it's helping out. One of the things Kirk does in insurance, I know we're always shopping for insurance on these deals. And I'm talking to insurance broker and I'm like, well, what happened? It was $350 a unit. Now it's $500 a unit. Oh yeah, well, the looting started and the major carriers pulled out of the South Side. What do you mean they pulled out of the South Side? Well, they'll do it, but the rate is $1,000 a unit, right? So it really won't do it. So our industry is being impacted, and we got to do what we can do in our space to make an impact one by one. Chris, what are you seeing out there as far as equity, inclusion?
Chris, you muted.
No, he's not.
Oh, he's frozen.
Chris.
Oh, he is frozen. Thought he was just a good poker player. Oh, there you go.
Tell us about that.
Definitely a poker player.
How can we get more involved? How can we benefit from insurance?
Man, one of the main things that I've seen is life insurance, because what I've learned and what I've noticed is that I believe life insurance is the answer to poverty, the answer to generational curses. And a lot of people don't know that if you have a whole life policy, a loan officer can look at that as an asset that can help you purchase a property or an investment property. But people don't understand that. I fight with people all the time. I'm not fighting, but as you can, I'm so passionate about it. And I really have those hard conversations with our clients where, like, for instance, somebody's paying $200 a month for auto insurance, right? But then they'll complain about paying $100 a month for homeowners insurance. So what I do is I'll tell them, like, hey, the car's worth $50,000, right? I'm like, oh yeah, it's worth $50,000. But the house you just bought is $300,000. Like, yeah. So you pay $200 a month for auto insurance, but claim about paying $100 a month for homeowners insurance. You're like, oh, you know what? I didn't think about it that way. You're right. And then I'll tell them, hey, you're the primary breadwinner of your home, right? You have a wife and 3 kids. Your wife doesn't make enough money to pay the mortgage. Like, right. So you're 32 years of age in good health. If you just pay $50 a month, God forbid, if anything happens to you, we will pay off the mortgage. I would knock on your family's household and give them a check to pay off the mortgage. So your parents, so your wife and your kids will have a home free and clear, not to pay utility bills and taxes every year. And you know what answer I get? You know what? I'm gonna come back to you about that. And I'm like, okay, do you have any life insurance? Oh, I got life insurance already with my company, my job. How much is it? Also about $100,000. Is that enough to pay your mortgage off? No, but I'll come back to that. But then you're telling me you have to buy a new car. You know, we got to talk about the priorities in our communities. And we have to continue to have these hard conversations because people are not going to like it. I tell them you're not going to like it, but we got to have this conversation because I'll be giving you a disservice if I didn't have this conversation with the clients. And it just frustrates me that people that I see and people that look like me are very successful tell me, you know what, I'm gonna come back to that. But I know you can afford it. But it's just our priority. So I want to ask you all from a realtor's perspective, what can I do? What can we do to help educate our client, not only about real estate, but it's a small investment like life insurance? Because honestly, my grandmother passed away when I was 19 years old, right? I didn't know what college I was gonna go to because I didn't have any money, right? But she left me a life insurance policy to pay off my college. I wouldn't be here today and being in front of you and being educated the way I am if it wasn't for my grandmother. That is the, man, I'm just so passionate about it, but that's the effect. And even if Pookie and Ray Ray, right? We all got Pookie and Ray Ray in our household and our cousins, we love them, right? Even if they got a bunch of money and they went to the club every night and bought bottle service, the bottle service girl is now making money so she can provide for her kids. The person that's maybe in the strip club that's trying to get to go to college, they're providing them to help for college, even if that was happening. So it's not just about us. It's about the domino effect. And we got to educate our clients about that. So what is it that I can do or we can do as a team in real estate to help educate our clients, not just about real estate, but something like life insurance?
That's very important. I think that Chris has something to add to the conversation.
Okay, come on, Chris.
You're speaking to me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
I actually love the entire discussion. I have children, so to your point, I think that for me, having that hard conversation with my wife, what can we afford? What is the one tool that we need to try to start creating that generational wealth? I got a kid through college already. I got 2 more to go. So life insurance and talking about the different types of life insurance, term versus whole life, those conversations I think are important to have too. And because one is different, it's not always a good fit for individuals. In terms of the equity piece, I just think that, if we, to your point, if we start having those conversations, I love the idea of going to the different forums and speaking to individuals that may not have the things that we have, or maybe looking to obtain the things that we have. That education is vital. In my industry specifically, it's hard talking about, buying expensive sofas and, to your point, it's like, do I really need that? But when you think of the investment piece, if you're buying a piece of property, right, that's an investment. To me, my services and what we do is also an investment. We have to also talk about value, right? What is the value of your home? How can we increase the equity in your home? The things that we do to our specific homes, like, let's change the windows, let's redo the bathroom, let's redo the kitchen. That's creating equity in the home. But those are really hard conversations to have too. So, it's all about money in the end. And to your point, it's not always that we can afford it. It's do we want to afford it, right? So, we have to ask ourselves what's important. And sometimes what fits for some doesn't always fit for others, and our priorities aren't always aligned. So, I always have these hard conversations with my clients. And if it's not always about, things that you mentioned, but, I try to create equity in people's homes or their commercial properties. That's one of my responsibilities, I think, as a designer. So that's my thought on that.
Yeah, Kirk, to your point.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just think we've got to leverage what we can. And right now that's social media. And for me, it's like, you got to make FICO sexy. I may not be partying at the club, but I'm partying at the bank or with a banker. So those are the things that we have to really speak, talk about. Let's talk about FICO. It doesn't matter, you got a $50,000 new BMW or whatever example Kirk gave. But what's your interest rate on that? 16%? Because your FICO is not where it could be.
Nykea, you might need a jingle.
Absolutely.
But and to
it's really simple. I mean, those not. I'm sorry, but just to make this final point about the jingle, it's really simple. We grew up listening to the ABCs of the ABC schools at the School of Rock, right? What was it? They talking about the Constitution and right.
Yeah,
those
Bill.
were really we don't have right the Bill of Rights, right? We don't have those little things. And I think those little simple things that we can do even on social media. Talking about making it sexy and right, but also making it funny, but being educational. And those are the simple things, because when you're going through, social media, you got like 2 seconds to capture someone's attention, right? Otherwise, they're scrolling up, right, to the next thing. So keeping it simple, what's the saying? Keep it simple, stupid, right? So we keep it simple, we keep it short, but factual, right? So I am not the social media king by any imagination whatsoever. I need help. But I want to work on a jingle. I promise you that.
So I want to piggyback on that because I 100% agree. I definitely think social media should be utilized with short and sweet, maybe video clips, and not just information, resources. I sit on the Education Foundation, and one of the things we discuss is that every year there's money left over for people who can basically get into our business, increase their knowledge in our business. We had a Zeke Morris scholarship to help people get into business, help offset the cost, which is a barrier for a lot of people. We got the Marky Lemon scholarship. Antonia mentioned the Project REAP program. There's a scholarship for people to get into Project REAP. I even think when I was pursuing, the CCIM, I didn't realize until after I paid the full cost for one of the CCIM courses that there's actually a scholarship for minorities in order to take the CCIM courses. I think if we, us that are in the business that maybe had to face those barriers, if we can show people how they can get around some of these barriers or go over them, I think it's our responsibility.
All right, Sheena.
Oh, I was just going to say earlier to Nikea's point with the FICO score, but it affects so much, even the insurance, right, Kirk? So I just told a client the other day, she's like, oh, I have this on my credit, I'm fine to get a house. And I'm like, but no, you still, even if you purchase the home, you still want to work on your credit score. I said, did you know that your credit score impacts your insurance? She was like, no, I never knew that. So I think what you're doing, Kirk, is really helping give the stories that you just gave, like your grandmother or how someone else that's a client of yours who had life insurance, how that impacted their lives financially in a good way or a bad way, like because of lack thereof. So I think people need to hear the stories because if you don't, insure yourself, this is what could happen. And I think that most of us don't hear those stories, like you just said.
Okay.
And Kirk, also one more thing I want to add too is that, the one thing that we could do, I think, more of or do a better job of is referrals. Trying to help and assist someone in building their business or getting more exposure, because without those opportunities, it just becomes a greater challenge, right? A bigger hurdle to get over. So I think we could do a better job of referring our colleagues and our business professionals, people that we know and that we trust, perhaps depends on the situation, without always just throwing out a referral just because we're Black, right? But we know that person is a good fit, right, for that particular situation. And it's not always true, but a lot of us, at least for me, I do that all the time. And I think that's also number one, it's just a great human experience, right? Knowing that you can help someone, right? Morally, I feel satisfied when I can do that. But I think that, in our community, that to me looks better, and also being in the right room at the right time, I mentioned knowing your audience. So, for me, I'm in spaces in situations where I might be the only Black person, right? And it's always about, you have to represent, right? So I think that doing more of that and trying to put yourself in the right situation is also really, really key. Because I think that can also help propel us in getting more and more of those referrals, because, I think it's, incumbent upon us to, again, want to help each other. And I think that by getting the right sort of audience will give you the right referral to give you another referral. So it all, as you pointed out before, trickles down. So I think that's vital.
And along with that is not only giving the referral, but talking about those successful referrals, celebrating those stories of success. And I have an ask for all of you guys that are doing phenomenal jobs. Y'all stop making it look so easy on social media. I need y'all to post about those, those hours at 10 o'clock at night, at midnight, when you're still working on deals. Because Sheena Boo, I know you're working long days.
That's why I'm not a
People
morning.
need to know that this is not just you wake up and you sell 15 homes.
Yeah,
They
but
need to know that you're working 12-hour, 14-hour, 16-hour days.
I struggle with that though, because that will appeal to the real estate community, but to the buyers and my clientele, they want to see I make it look easy. So it's who do you appeal? So if as a realtor, because they're always like, oh my gosh, Sheena, I want to get into real estate. Then I'm going to tell you the truth.
Right.
Oh my God, like I sleep 4 hours a night. Like this makeup is what's making me look decent right now. So I always tell the truth, but on social media, I struggle with that because I do want agents to know it's not that easy, because I've had them get into the business and then they say, oh my God, nobody ever told me how hard this was. And well, you never asked, like you just saw social media. And we do a lot of realtors, we make this look really, really easy. And the tough conversations we have with our clients, all of that, the late nights, the driving all day, giving back, we volunteer our time. Like if I don't even know how we make it happen, but we do. So you're right. I do struggle with that though.
Just put it in your Insta story.
It's not a 30-minute TV show,
Oh no.
Yeah.
And and I think that when we see all this, like, these television shows that have all this elaborate, storytelling, right? They don't see the behind the scenes, they just think that, oh my God, he's got a great car, or he's going to this fabulous house, or, what have you. But, the work and the conversations, the hard conversations you have to have with people about finances and about how we're going to make this happen. Those conversations aren't always shown on the television program, right? So it's not just, wash, rinse, repeat, wake up and, here we are, it's like, right? Cue, right? Take one. No, I mean,
Absolutely.
it's many, many takes. It's many, many takes. And, you get the one right, but there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that people don't see. So Sheena, kudos to you for being able to pull it off and make it look easy. But, I think all of us sitting here know that it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, like Antonia, I've done a few deals with her over the years. She's sending me emails at midnight. I'm reading them at midnight. So I think everyone here makes it look easy. And I think, we sometimes do a slight disservice to our fellow realtors, but I think it's also a certain benefit to consumers as well that think that, again, we just sort of wake up and open the door and voila.
True. That is
To
true.
your point, one of the things that I do with my clients when we close a deal is we go to dinner, right? Let me treat you to a fancy dinner, right? Steakhouse or wherever you want to go, somewhere nice enough for a millionaire to want to go there, right? And we'll ask them, one of the things I ask them is, tell me about a deal that you lost money on, right? Because everybody sees the successes, right? Tell me about a deal that you passed on, right? And the same thing with this real estate life. You coming in as a commercial broker, I tell you in the interview, you're gonna be broke for a year, right? Are you willing to take that to get there, right? Even if everything lines up, it's a longer sales cycle. There's no 30-day sales cycles, very few. But one of the common things that I see coming up here is priorities, right? And I appreciate Nykea and Lutalo and Christopher and even Zeke talking about reaching out to people in our community, lifting them up, right? And helping them out, especially now, right? There's a lot going on now. We've tried to start some businesses. Those businesses, you have to kind of do your business plan over with COVID. And then we're talking about wealth preservation and legacy. Kirk hit on that. So did Zeke. So did Nykea. And I get clients sometime, and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna leave this building to my children." I'm like, "You are? Do you love them?" Like, there's a lot going on in that building, right? You gotta, maybe you could sell the building and get an insurance policy and leave them a fat checkbook that they can do. But your children did what you wanted them to do, right? They went to college. They're dentists now or psychiatrists. They don't want that call at midnight because somebody went to sleep with the bathtub running and screwed things up, right? So we have to look at the stages of investment too. It's wealth preservation, creation, then you go through preservation, then you go through legacy. And a lot of us get stuck in that creation stage, and we never graduate to the next stage where we're actually getting cash flow, and we don't need to take the same risk that we took in our 20s and 30s. And we need to step back and start looking at retirement and retirement planning and legacy planning. So
Hey, you
all
preaching
Tony,
to
how
that,
does
Tony.
Absolutely.
yeah, right? So
Yep.
Tony, so for the audience, how does someone get involved, or how does someone find, an investor such as yourself, if they want to, offer up some of their 401k, let's say, to get into the real estate business? How does someone find someone like you in the city of Chicago?
Well, what I do is I try to create a team for them. It's not me. It's Nykea. It's the Chicago Association of Realtors. It's the Commercial Forum, which is a whole group of real estate practitioners that get together. We bang our heads together and we try to figure out how we can impact the landscape of commercial real estate in Chicago. It's the Southside Community Investors Association, which is a group. Antonia Mills comes to those. You need an attorney. You need an insurance agent. You need a property manager. You need a real estate broker. There's a whole host of things you need to be successful in this business. And you need a team of investors, right? Most of these guys, like some of the most successful investors, they're not lone wolves. They got somebody that knows accounting. Sometimes the investor on their team is the attorney that's doing the paperwork. One of the team members is the broker or the insurance guy. They're teaming up, pooling their resources. This is what everybody else is doing. Sometimes the African Americans show up as a lone wolf trying to do it all, and you get that deal done, you own that building, everybody comes to you and say, "Hey, you made it, man. You really made it. You got 1 or 2 buildings and you don't want to sell them because you don't want to let your community down that's telling you made it." But sometimes you have to take on partners, you have to take that risk so that you can grow.
Preach, Tony. Preach. That was, what you just said is really important. I think what we're all talking about is the long game, and teaching folks what that truly means is that we're not in this industry for all, when you look at trying to build wealth, it's a marathon. And, one of the things that when I talk to folks, when I first started in this business, the one thing that I would always tell someone is when I closed the deal with them, I would say, "Thank you for helping me to feed my family," because I think that that's important. It's important that they know that this is personal, and they know that this is not a hobby for me. It is how I make my living. And so I want others to know that that's important to them. And the other thing that I think is really important within our industry is that we speak the truth. One, folks think that our business is one where you can be your own boss, means you could sleep all day and you can do. That's not the way it works. It's, as what has been projected, it is a grind. And if people aren't prepared for that, everybody's not built for to be an entrepreneur. And so the ones that are, we have to let them know who want to enter this business. We have to let them know that this industry just look at it from the residential side, it's a 90-day process. So what you do today will show up 90 days from now. So if you take off 2 weeks in between, you're gonna have a gap in terms of your wealth building. And so trying to teach folks how to do that and ways of doing that is what Tony said, is you have a team. You have other folks that can work with you, that can pick up the slack. But And also, when you are working out there, if we know that we are not experts in, you seek that expert and you let them take care of that, because the time that you have is valuable. You know, when I think about, I look at someone like Sheena, who is, you know, she does a lot of excellent things. In order for her to sustain that over time, she's going to need some other resources that can help her. And that's what we should all be available to each other, is a resource for each other and a resource to our community. The other thing I would like to just say is that COVID has made a huge change in terms of the way we look at life. You know, before we're a belly to belly business, and technology has changed that. And with COVID, we have learned how to become more available or towards the use of technology. Things that we wouldn't do before, we can now get out our message to so many more people via technology. And that is, I think, is a very important thing. And we've seen that throughout the industry as we're growing, and we're able to basically preach, or people hear our stories across the world right from your desk. And that's important. It's important that one, we're able to do that. And so I just encourage you all to continue to do that. Thanks.
I think that one of the things that I've kind of gathered from this conversation, right, is that building generational wealth and real estate, it's a long game, and it's thinking in terms of, you know, your future and future planning. And apart from the insurance, life insurance, I also, you know, have clients who, you know, call me frantically, whose, you know, their mother's passed away. They have no idea whether she's got a will, who's going to own the property. And, you know, and I talk to my clients constantly about, you know, you need to set up an estate plan. That's not something that I necessarily, you know, do. I focus specifically on real estate, but, you know, having that referral for them to be able to set up an estate plan for themselves, so that they're not caught in a bind or have their families trying to, like Tony said, do you really want to give that building to your child? I mean, like, but if you really did want to give that building to your child, make sure that you've implemented and set up the things necessary to be able to do that. You want to talk about not giving up a ton of your money in federal taxes because you didn't set up things properly so that you could forward and maximize the amount of wealth that you're capable of sending over to your child, you know, your heirs as well. And so, yeah, I think that often, and that's not just in the Black community, I think that's all across the board, of people being so short-sighted and wanting, you know, you want to set up a 401k, you want to assign beneficiaries, you want to set up that estate plan, you want to move that property into a land trust if you want to avoid probate. Having an understanding of those things too, I think, sets us up to have generational wealth that we can pass on to people moving forward, those we love moving forward.
That's a great referral right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
So we're making wills, probate, and FICO sexy. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And insurance.
I mean, I'm already feeling really hot and heavy now with all of those words, but I'm a nerd.
Hey, this is a good point. I need, if it's cool with everybody, I need a screenshot with everybody smiling. This may or may not be in the next issue of Real Producers. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, hold on.
Who knows?
Hold
Who
up.
knows?
Right. Let me tally up.
Lutalo, Tony, and myself. We got to fix our hair real quick.
It's my
So,
ivory over here.
all right, ready? Now, I'm gonna count down. Do not be like my children and stop smiling. Okay, so just you guys stop smiling when I stop smiling. Okay, so we'll hopefully nail this on the first try. Ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, let me see.
We need to social media approve that, Andy. Share the screen.
Yes.
Right.
We can
Crop
send it to you
things
guys.
out. You know.
Is it taggable?
Right.
Yeah. Get the crop tool.
I'll send it to you
As
guys.
you guys know, I will be like, delete.
Right. Do not accept on your time.
Right.
I think we got it on the first try. Sorry.
Well, I'm so excited for this. Andy, thank you so much. This is an amazing way to start the morning. I feel charged up. I feel ready to help the next wave of homeowners, the next wave of brokers. So I really appreciate each of you sharing your time and talents. I see lots of referral opportunities. Tony, I need to talk to you. I need to get one of those invites for one of those nice steak dinners or seafood dinners.
I got to
Kirk,
become
I
a
need
millionaire
this on
first.
insurance.
I hear you.
And Chris, I don't know if I can afford your design group yet, but this group is
We'll
going to
get
get me
there.
ready to be able to
We'll
do
get
that.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
Yes, you can.
You'll get there.
Well, this
Yep,
is
but-
great. And oh, go ahead, Zeke. Go ahead, sir.
No, I was just going to say, I'm honored to be with all of you today. I think that it's important to be in the conversation, for one, and two, to have folks around that I always like to be around people that are smarter than me, and so I feel that today was that day. I got to learn some things from folks in our industry and people that that I haven't interacted with, and so it is a great it's a great way for me to build upon my future as well, and to be a part of their futures. So I want to thank everybody for that, and I'm delighted for today.
Thank you, Zeke.
Sweet, yeah.
I was really excited to be part of this panel because I admire and respect so many of you here, and I to just be able to sit with you and learn from you. I mean, you guys are inspirational. I mean, I don't know if you wake up in the morning and you're like, hey, I'm going to go out and inspire people and encourage people, but that's what you do. I mean, just to be here, just to be in your presence, I am so honored and super excited. I was really excited for this morning, just to be with all of you. So thank you so much for all that you do and who you are and the way that you forge ahead in this industry. I mean, it is really impactful, and people see you, and you really are doing wonderful things. I mean, I would not be where I am right now without many of you in this room. And Nykea, your installation, I mean, I was on the road and I was crying, to be able to have, and I'm getting a little emotional now, to be able to have people who look like you, who have had similar struggles as you, forging the path and going forward. It gives me confidence too. I had a friend from high school who was working on a paper reach out to me and want to talk to me about all of the racial tension and things that had happened. And he asked me, well, what is the biggest thing that you've experienced out of this? Or what have you gotten out of what's happened in this past year? And I said that I have a feeling of closeness to my community. A real desire for us all collectively to grow and build communities and do things together and lift each other up. And, and I see that's what happens in this group. And that's what happens, not just amongst all of us in this panel, but in the Chicago Association of Realtors and the Dearborn Realtors, and the Illinois Realtors. I think that the Black community, real estate community in Illinois and Chicago is so strong and encouraging each other and moving each other forward. And I'm so thankful for that. And so that was one thing that I really wanted to let you all know, that I just am so inspired and encouraged by you and the opportunities to be able to work with you for sure.
Now I'm getting emotional.
I know, right, y'all?
It's very emotional. It's very emotional. Like, once again, I just want to thank Andy for putting me at the table with you all. I would have been fine just being a fly on the wall, to be honest with you, just to hear the conversation, because you all have really and definitely paved the way for the next generation. Like with Tony saying he wrote that letter, the tenacity that you showed, now that door is open for people like me, I could walk through it and then take what you started to a step further. And then somebody after me do the same thing. So I really, really appreciate you all.
I absolutely appreciate you. We would to have you. I got to do another plug for Chicago Association of Realtors Education Foundation, because Lutalo brought up an important point. Sometimes the barrier to entry is an issue in real estate and other industries. And so there are so many scholarships available for you to not only get your real estate license, but to get additional designations, all that fun stuff. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my son's scholarship, Xavier Ojoy, for those students who want to attend Morehouse College.
You can go. You could. We got a few minutes, so I want to respect everybody's time. If obviously, we'll kind of sign off here at like 10:15, 10:16ish. But we got a few minutes, Nykea. So if you want to do some plugs, or just even, I'll put myself on blast. Like, how can I support? What we do. Like, is there anything tactful as boots on the ground? Obviously, I know a lot of realtors. Just that I can do. Or that's within my power.
Well, Andy, you did something really powerful right during the midst of the unrest. And you gathered another panel like this, African-American realtors in the Chicago market. And we had an open and honest discussion about what was happening in the Chicagoland area, what's happening in the marketplace. And we gave you like real feedback. We talked about like your top producer series and how it didn't include some of the zip codes and the communities that we serve, and how that in itself was an example of how we're being excluded from opportunities even today. And so I think the important piece for you and other media is to really keep these conversations going. And really, we cannot shy away from the difficulties. And that's something I'm really passionate about here in my role with Coldwell Banker is, we have a tagline, live an exceptional life. What does that mean to everyone? Right? Everyone's has a different definition. So how can I be a conduit to help you live that exceptional life, whatever it looks like? But really, it's about relationships and opportunities and making sure that everyone has the opportunity to live the life that they can live. To Kirk's point about generational wealth, how can we put you in touch with people to help you achieve those levels of wealth, move to the next level of wealth and maintain it, right? Because we may not have had those experiences. Now, my hustle comes from my grandmother, who reinvented herself at 40 and then. So, I've had an experience, and I know that quitting is not an option, but everyone has not had that sort of role model. And so that's what each of us has the opportunity to do, right? Is to impact someone else and bring them up and bring them forward with us.
Yep. And one of the other things that you just said, Nykea, which is there are certain zip codes that don't have the issue in terms of creating value, the same value. And, I know we haven't talked about it, but, redlining is one of those issues. It's, before it used to be based upon a map. Now it's gotten a lot more sophisticated, and it happens through the appraisal process. And so we are still in an environment where systematically our underserved neighborhoods show or are not growing at the rate that we need them to, so that we can service and grow our communities, so they can be, self-sufficient. And the way we need to do that is we need to continue to look at how do we raise the values within our community, so that people, so they can look at our communities as being a viable alternative for what they want. We all want the same things for ourselves and for our families, and that is to have the ability to lead, like you say, an exceptional life. And that exceptional life means different things to different people. And we owe it to our community to be advocates on behalf of those issues, and not give up. We can't, and like you said, it's not an option. And so we all have to learn how to work together. Understanding that process, understanding the impact of value, understanding our credit scores, all of those things will impact value as we move forward. And so I think you hit on some real great subjects. And so let's us take this as our call to action. This is our call to action, is that we're gonna make sure that we have an avenue of resources that we can all share, and know that we don't all have the answers, but together in a room, we can get them.
Absolutely.
Hey, Zeke, I think we're gonna, I think if I feel I say anything else, I will just deter from the comments. So we're gonna cut the live feed there. I appreciate everybody joining, and let me stop the live stream right now. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, live feed's gone. Seriously, thank you, everybody. I know we went a couple minutes over, but this is really the goal of these, is to help, you know, get people together and form one mind. So I'm at your disposal if you need me. If there's anything I can do that's legal, of course, as boots on the ground, doing what I do, I'm at your service. So thank you very much. If you want to do another one of these, I think Chris and Antonia, I think Kirk, this is your second one. Nykea, I know we've been on a couple, and so is Lou. But if you want to get on another one of these, we do these little sessions usually once a week. And so we always shuffle the deck and try to get different realtors, different partners interacting with people. Obviously, this was, I was honored to do this. This was, you know, I'm glad the stars aligned, that everybody's schedules worked out. Also, some of you might know this, might not. My wife Emily and I, we just took over, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, acquired DuPage Real Producers. There's another gentleman that owns North Shore. So we are in the middle, that's already ramped up, but we're in the middle of growth options on that. So I kind of will have a little bit more influence over DuPage as well, which we're excited about. But, you know, it's like the realtor analogy I'm going to give. It's kind of like, you know, you just acquired another brokerage, and there's different systems, there's different things that you kind of got to transition over. So take with that information what you want to, you know, leverage what we're doing. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to quit talking, let you get back to your days and making money. And yeah, Sheena, I expect a post from you, you know, at like 10 o'clock at night, like not doing something fun.
Still working.
So, yeah, working, you know, like, you know, maybe with
y'all.
I'm teasing her, but
I know.
We all
need
need
to do it. I know. Yeah. And I was in DuPage Real Producers last year.
Okay.
So so is he still around?
He, in short, he got another opportunity he couldn't pass up from a different employer. But yeah, and so I mean, Chicago's been rocking and rolling for, I think we're 3.5 years now. And they launched in early 2020, and he's like, Andy, there was some more logistics behind it, but he's like, you're like the perfect person to take this over. And so we did a lot of soul searching and praying. And my first initial thought was, nah, I'm good. I mean, we had a good groove because we have 4 kids, so it's been like chaos if I'm just being fully transparent. And my wife and I were like, okay, this is something that we just felt that we needed to do. So
yeah. So my feedback to you.
There it is.
Yeah. So for what you can do. So when they asked me to be a part of that, to be not featured on the cover, because you have to make a certain dollar amount to be on the cover. And so when I asked what that was, I'm like, well, I do make that. And he had no idea. So I feel like if you're going to make an impact with your publication, learn more about the Black community and the realtors who are top producers. And I don't think that that's talked about enough.
And you can talk open and freely. I'm very privy to that fact, and I appreciate the candor. One thing that I will say is, like, all the stats that we get are from the MLS. So it's like, if a realtor doesn't report it, or if it's like commercial deals or off market stuff, like I'm good and I'm insightful, but I'm not that good, like, you know, for realtors. Like, otherwise you get into like people self-reporting, and then it's all sticky, which is a whole different conversation. So yeah, we've been thinking about doing it based on units. It's just the challenge is getting somebody to funnel us those figures. So I'm happy to talk off books. And also, Sheena, too, I want to give you the ability to nominate other realtors in your field, some other colleagues. So I'm totally happy to get them in the queue for 2020. So
just one, now that you mentioned that, I mean, just thinking about the segments of, you know, real estate, there's the total volume, right? Which is, you know, how much you do in total sales. Then there's what, to Sheena's point, or to what you just said about the units. And then of course there's the commercial piece. Is there a way to segment real producers by category? So you've got the total volume, right? Like, you know, what's his name? The low group. Then you've got, you know, like Sheena's point, you know, I did 100,000 units, right? But I may not have done that volume. And then you've got, you know, the commercial piece. How many guys are really killing it, you know, in commercial real estate? I don't know, just.
No, that's a good point, because I think then when we start, people will begin to see more of that. And the publications help, and social media wise, like for me, You know, so anything like that to spotlight you as an agent propels you to the next thing, to the next thing. So it's not a lot of
Yeah, and I think that and I don't think you can always, get that, or glean that from the issue, right? So maybe on the social media piece for real producers, it's just a way to, maybe there's a spotlight piece on an individual, where you may not be featured in a magazine, but on social media you might get a hit, right? Or a feature. So, because there's not enough space, right? And also not enough time. So that might be something interesting to take a look at too.
I'm cool with talking, but I just want to if either of anybody has to if you have a 10:30 appointment or something like that, feel free. Don't. I'm not offended at all. Like this is totally off.
We have the vaccine town hall happening right now.
No, dude, I get you, Nykea. Thank you so much. I just want to give people
Nykea, all of you, I will be in touch. Okay.
Please.
So
yeah, I'm totally fine with setting up something to talk about that, because we've been. Here's my thing, and I talked to Marky about this. Like I want it turnkey. Like if somebody can send me stats, hey, this is the top volume. These are the top people based on just units, like closed transactions, irrelevant of volume. I can find some way to actually merge those. It's just I'm not a realtor. So people send us and feed us those stats. But it's one of those things where if I can have it turnkey and sent to me, I will totally make it merge the two worlds. Does that make sense?
And also fact-based, right?
Yeah.